Zack Snyder is on fire in 2021. I mean, he really is. Justice League, the Snyder Cut, got a lot of love, and after watching it like 4 times, it's my new favorite Zack Snyder film. That's right. That is my new favorite Zack Snyder film. Now, before Justice League Snyder Cut became my favorite film, my previous favorite film was Dawn of the Dead from 2004. And Army of the Dead follows the same sort of, it's not in the same universe based on what I saw, but it's the same idea with Zack Snyder returning to do zombie films. But of course, it's Zack Snyder, so he has to change things up and make it, do something unique and different. For the first time in a very long time, he is the director. He's also a co-writer of the film. The movie stars Dave Bautista and a few other people too. Elia Purnell, Amari Hardwick, Raul Castillo, just, a lot of different people are in this film. A lot of hype for this movie, yo. A lot of hype for Army of the Dead. And I got to see it. It's on Netflix right now. It was also in movie theaters for a while. But, one thing I gotta say about this movie, man, that really sticks out to me, there's a couple things I want to talk about here real quick. First, the music is awesome. Zack Snyder's choice of music has always been very interesting to me as a director. When you watch films like Watchmen or watch films like Justice League, you can see that this guy has a very eclectic taste in music and it goes everywhere. He likes rock, he likes hip hop, he likes, old school classical. Like his choice of music is fantastic. And for this movie, it's also fantastic. On top of that, the cinematography in this film is amazing. Like, and this is something Snyder's always done. Even in Batman v Superman, which is not a movie I like, Snyder's cinematography. Zack Snyder is great with a camera. Zack Snyder knows how to point a camera in the right direction, hit the button, and go. And the thing I like about this movie is it had a very different feel from other Snyder films. It does not have like the gloomy sort of feel that Man of Steel had. And it doesn't really have, and also Watchmen had that too. It doesn't really have like the kind of faded dusk effect that 300 had, although it is similar to that. It is very similar to it. So here's my opinion on Army of the Dead. Bautista was great in it. Very cool character. And I think the movie starts off really good, but then there's like a very long time period where they're building up characters. And the problem is that to me, it just wasn't that interesting for that time period. I want to say about 25, 30 minutes of this movie are spent kind of telling the backstory between Batista's character, which is Scott Ward, and his daughter Kate Ward, and their whole history, they had to do it, but I think they could have probably shaved some time off of this movie. I mean, this movie, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes long, and very rarely do you have zombie films that are actually that long. Most of them are about an hour, hour and a half. Some are maybe 2 hours, but 2.5 hours, that's a lot of story. And Zack Snyder is known for having long movies. I mean, that's what he's known for. It shouldn't surprise you. But the whole story, it takes place in Las Vegas, and it's essentially like, if you're into like The Walking Dead, if you like zombie stories, you'll like this one because it's the same idea. A group of people trying to survive in this, zombie apocalypse, but there's some twists in it. Like, for example, in the movie, some of the zombies are not just like brain dead. They're actually smart. They have feelings. They have emotions. So if somebody becomes a zombie, it doesn't mean they're just walking around like, ugh. No, some of them actually like, it's like in Dawn of the Dead where you see them run. Like, some of them actually like, come off like humans. You know what I mean? Like they come off like actual people. And also we have in this movie a zombie tiger. And I thought that was a really cool situation. The movie really felt like it was a video game. Like I feel like this would be a perfect video game where you fight, the zombie tiger as like one of the bosses. Like it would have fit there. But Snyder does something different. Like he does something different. And then we find out kind of as the film evolves, we find out that some of the characters have sinister motives. And the reason why it's called Army of the Dead is because we find out that, and I'm not going to go into major spoilers here, but there is an army of zombies that's being planned. Like this is one of those like situations where it wasn't just some kind of random outbreak, right? But the film has enough interesting twists to where, and it's stuff that's been done before. It's not anything that, if you watch a lot of movies, you know what I'm talking about. It's not anything that's going to be changing the world, but it is something that is a tradition. Like with Army of the Dead, Zack Snyder pays tribute to George Romero, to the predecessors of the day, Tom Savini, the real, because there's a lot of practical effects in this film. Like you would think when you think Zack Snyder, you're thinking heavy CGI, like heavy computer effects, like what we saw in Justice League and 300 and whatnot. Not so much 300, but really the superhero movies that Snyder does have a lot of CGI, which you need it, but he does a lot of computer generated graphics. But for this film, it was a lot of practical effects. It was a lot of makeup. So he kind of, pays tribute to the people before his time, but also tries to take the genre in a new direction. Cause, I feel like zombie films for a while didn't really get a lot of love. And then Dawn of the Dead came out, and then Walking Dead came out, and that kind of reignited people's interest in zombie stories. Because, the whole thing about zombies is what makes those stories interesting is putting yourself in the character's shoes saying, how are we going to survive? If you don't do that when you're watching a zombie movie or a zombie TV show, you're not really capturing the full essence of what you're supposed to do, in my opinion. Only my opinion. When I watch these things, I put myself in their shoes and try to unravel this puzzle to figure out how to get the hell out of there. But maybe that's because I grew up playing Resident Evil, and that's kind of what you have to do in that game, right? So I think all these sort of stories have similar ideas. You have people betraying each other and who's on whose side. The humans actually become the monsters, philosophically, of course. And that's something that Snyder brings to this film. But what carries the movie is kind of Bautista as an actor. I think he's definitely improved. But I think the movie is lacking. It needs a bit more of a charismatic cast, in my opinion. It really does. So I mentioned earlier, that there's that 30-minute chunk where, like, it's very unnecessary stuff. Like, after the beginning, right around the middle of the movie before, like, I'd say the first half of the first act, second half of the first act, first half of the second act. But when you get to, like, the part where they actually go on the mission, from then on, the movie's fun. From then on, you have a good time. From then on, if you like these kind of films, you'll like this. And it doesn't matter what kind of zombie movie you like. If you like Resident Evil type of stuff, like the video games, George Romero, Danny Boyle, doesn't matter. You're going to get, like, it's almost like Zack Snyder wanted to make, like, the most unique tribute to a zombie film with everything a zombie film has in it inside of one movie. That's the way I felt when I got done with Army of the Dead. Not a perfect movie at all. Like, it could have really been tightened up, I think, and cut down in time. I really think it could have and probably should have been. Honestly, it's a criticism Snyder gets a lot, even though I think in Justice League he used the time very wisely. That's why I love that film. But with this movie, I liked it a lot. Did not love it, but I did like it, and it's a pretty badass movie. So go see Army of the Dead. It's on Netflix right now, and let me know what you think down below.